Hello there guys, and welcome to my review of the 2011 CollectA Irritator Challenger Eye. I just had to say the specific name as well because it's such an odd and amusing name for a dinosaur, but it has an interesting story behind it, in that the paleontologists were annoyed that the person who sold it to them had added plaster to the tip of the snout, because Irritator is currently only known from a skull and nothing else. So I think we infer the rest of it based on baryonyx and probably a bunch of others. So, I have, from a reviewing point of view, I have mixed feelings about this thing. Obviously, I could have very easily gone for the new baryonyx, which I have access to in Wellington, so this thing, but it's too big for what I need. One of the reasons I'm not too miffed about the proportions and stuff, because this is a bit outdated, is the fact that the thing I bought it for, it's going to be playing a juvenile, not an adult. So, I think it's okay in that respect. Right, okay, on to the actual review. First things first, I'm a little bit miffed that it has a base, because the promo image doesn't have a base. This seems to be quite common occasionally. I do quite like the colours, with the sort of yellowy green over the snout and the charcoal and sort of pale brown belly. It does have pink eyes, which is interesting because it's the same as the Schleich baryonyx. Scale detail is kind of over the top. Like, this is probably the size of scales on the actual animal. These scales are huge for this scale. Oh my god, I've said scale too much. I don't mind the feature scales. Like, I think they're feature scales. They might be osteoderms. We got no evidence for that, of course. It does have pronated hands, which is a bit of a bummer. It's like the old deluxe baryonyx. They do have it right that the second claw is bigger than the third one. All three fingers are the same length though, so the second finger should be longer than the first. The teeth are pretty good, and the paint application is pretty good as well. Like, there's a tiny bit of paint bleeding on that side. On that side as well. Yeah, tiny bit of paint bleeding. Yeah, the detail on this is pretty good. I do like how the teeth are individually sculpted. Well, they're more individually sculpted than the Schleich baryonyx. I'm not really sure what this ridge is based on. But I guess also for what I'm going to use it for, having a base isn't that much of a pain because it can be covered up. I just have to pick my angles carefully. And I do like how it is sort of textured like sand. You can see in the footprints. If it will focus. There we go. Yeah, see? It's sand. I can't tell if that's on purpose on the toes. I think it is. It does look a little bit like the colour of the base, but the base hasn't been painted. Nostrils are in the right spot, I think. Kind of in between more basal spinosaurids, where they would be around where the notch is, and Spinosaurus itself, where they'd be up here. It is shrink wrapped a little bit, but it's only the antorbital fenestra. There's a tiny bit of shrink wrapping on the orbit. I don't really have much more to say about this thing. Yeah. Okay, get into some size comparisons. So, because this is an intermediary stage, this is actually going to be playing a Serrata Sucops, and the thing I bought it for. So, is the Schleich Baryonyx, which will be playing the adult, and the mini CollectA Baryonyx, which will be this guy as a hatchling. It's kind of life cycle there. Usual, the Papodimetrodon. Safari Velociraptor, and then a couple more figures that are going to be appearing with this thing. We've got the Safari Iguanodon, the CollectA Velociraptor, and this is my new one. It's got two hands, and the CollectA Allosaurus. Yeah. Now to a rating. It's a bit tough because rating this as an adult, it's a little bit outdated. It's not as bad as the old Baryonyx, which of course has this sort of extreme S-curve shoulders with no shoulder blades. Printed hands. There's not much to complain about as far as the quality goes. I think the base detracts from it a tiny bit, but it's not going to be that much of a problem. So, I am going to give this a 4.4, which is pretty good for an older CollectA figure. Then again, it did come out in the same year as this thing. Yeah. See you next time, whenever that is.